All right. Here we go again. Once again, Ray on Sports. Hey, I'm your host, Johnny Ray, here for my second season. I did my first season of 25 episodes, and now this is my second season. My first season of the my first episode. I'm sorry, of the new season, season two of Ray on Sports. And like I said, Ray on Sports is more than just a sports score show where I'm just going to comment on different sports teams and give scores and highlights. I'm also going to reach out further and start talking about things that affect you mentally as well as physically. And for that, we have another guest on that's coming on right now. Her name is Doreen Hing. She is called the Bone Hacker Extraordinaire. She is. Let me get her bio up for you. Doreen Hing is the Bone Hacker Extraordinaire. It might sound a bit mysterious, but Doreen's work is truly revolutionary. She's renowned for helping people overcoming long-standing pain, accelerate their recovery from injuries, and even surpass their pre-injury limits, sometimes in a matter of days. Doreen's journey is a fascinating one. She started her career as a shoe designer and later found a luxury yoga mat company. But despite her background in fashion and design, she was also a dedicated gym goer who struggled with running. This unexpected challenge led her on a quest to understand the root and the pain of her pain and limitations. Through relentless experimentation and a deep dive into biomechanics, Doreen cracked the code of pain free movement. She learned to decode her body's signals, turning pain into power. Now she's sharing her groundbreaking discoveries with the world through her anatomical intelligent method, or AIM. Whether you're battling chronic pain, recovering from an injury, or simply striving to reach new heights in your fitness journey, Doreen Hing can show you how to tap into the hidden potential of your skeletal system and achieve results you never thought possible. Prepare to be amazed as she guides you towards the life of greater strength, mobility, and vitality. And now I'm bringing her in. Hello, Miss Hing. How are you?
I'm good. That's a lovely bio.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. So let's just go ahead and get started. Anything besides the bio that I read that you want to share with us before as we start?
Um, well, I think for me, the most important thing that I would like the listeners to understand is that the body has a lot of capabilities to heal itself. You just need to know how to listen to it. And my goal is to take you beyond mind body listening and actually go mind bone and listen to the bone, because that's the deep core of the body. And so from there, then mind body becomes a lot clearer. You can hear the conversations better once you go to that deeper core of the bone and the skeletal structure. So hopefully you'll enjoy hearing some of the things which I've discovered, and thank you for being interested and curious.
Oh, thank you. Yes, yes, I'm very curious. Me and Miss Hing had talked a little bit right before we go on about some of the things I'm dealing with, and I want to ask her opinion on it on chronic pain. What is your what is your opinion on chronic pain, and how do you deal with it?
So for me, I deal with chronic pain and long-lasting pain, typically from a musculoskeletal perspective, first and foremost, especially with athletes, or it could be anything from aging parents and aging elders to athletes. But to really look at the structural architecture first, like everything that is created has a powerful structural system, except, we have structural engineers which teach us how to learn how to fix the system, how to understand the system, and how to recalibrate. But for the human body, we don't learn it from the skeletal system. We go in and fix the muscles first, or
Mm.
try and fix the connective tissues first, and then with some chronic pain, which is nerve related, we do try and figure out what's causing the nerve pain. But if we actually start, for me, if we start looking at it from a structural level first, that means we can put the muscles in the right place, put the connective tissues in the right place, the organs go in the right place, have a better chance of being in the right place, and then from there start doing some more diagnostic work instead of like just blindly doing some strength and conditioning exercises, or blindly giving meds um, and uh, and not understand what is happening at a functional level of the body and a mobility level. That's how I like to tackle pain first. Sort of like understand the body's experiences and its signals. See if you can register what the skeletal system is doing and its impact on the pain, and then read that information and see if it is an organ system that is compromised, or a muscular system that is compromised, and together, that's why I call my system the anatomical intelligence method, is that you actually have a roadmap to study what is going on many systems, and you have the skeletal system as your roadmap and your framework for diagnostic and also rapid solution and remedy. I hope
Okay.
that.
Yeah. Yes. 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 So when we talk about chronic pain, um, how how did you get into it, to dealing with this? I mean, because I see in your bio it says you were a gym rat first. So how did that transition happen?
How did it happen? I mean, it was a long, winding journey. One of the things which as a product designer, I designed a yoga mat that taught you how to be biomechanically grounded. And you often hear this term in movement education, in functional medicine, that you need to be grounded, either physically or mentally, for the body to heal. But we're not ever taught that. And so I did a run where I went from, and I hate running, I run like a sack of potatoes. And I did a run where I went from 3 miles to 8 miles in a week.
Wow.
And what I noticed, what I was doing, is that whenever I felt pain occurring, I took a deep breath, because that's what they tell you to do, because breathing does change the biochemistry in the body. And then, and one of the benefits of that is it calms the nervous system so that you can think more clearly. And when in that moment of thinking more clearly, I noticed where pain was occurring, whether it was in my lower back, whether it was I couldn't breathe anymore, my heart was getting crushed, or whether it was there was weight dumping into my knees, or whatever part of the body. The first part of the body I noticed was my lower back. It was it was crunching, and the impact was was just it was. I wouldn't say it was chronic. It was bearable in that way that a runner sort of like suffers through pain. And I just, like, in that moment of mind to body, where my took a deep breath and cleared my mind, I kind of I noticed that my back was crunching, and I was like, oh, what have I learned in all the systems that I have, fitness things that I've done, that will take away this back pain? And as I tried and tested out different things, I noticed that I was affecting the skeletal system, when I was running, and I eased out my back pain, and then my chest felt, my breathing was compromised. So I took the same sort of like strategy to study my lungs and what was crushed, what wasn't crushed, how could I optimize, how could I reposition the organs in my chest from a bone level, and see if that helped. And as when my breathing improved, then my knee, my knee was like, oh, it was like there were twinges or something, and I was like, oh, I wonder how I can take the weight off my knees. And and I kept going up the kinetic chain like that. Just anytime there was a sudden sort of like twinge or breathlessness or anything, I went in and I studied it. And then what I didn't know I was doing, the tools which I was using, I was actually putting the skeletal system in the right place that allowed me to carry on running, that allowed me to run faster than I normally run. And so I was like, all these different components that I kept noticing would normally have me stop and stop running. I just carried on running, and it felt like Forrest Gump. And
Wow.
I literally am the type of person who would stop at a traffic light, be glad that the traffic light was red, pretend that I'm this cool runner, but it's just the traffic light's red, so I've got to stop.
Wow.
So to be able to just carry on running, and so from there I was sort of like, I'd tell people, and they'd like go, oh, that's cool, you're doing yoga. I'm like, I'm not doing yoga when I'm running. I'm not.
Right.
I am doing something different. And so I started to do workshops, and I also people used to come to me whenever, because I was, just giving these as tips and ideas for my yoga mat business. And people would tell me that their back pain went, or their hip pain went. One person told me he had chronic hip pain, couldn't walk a mile. I showed him how to take the weight off his hip joint and sustain it, and he was able to walk home. But then he was also able to run on the treadmill the next day, and not just run, but run at 10 miles per hour, which is maximum speed on 10 treadmills. And so and this kept occurring, and I didn't really want to do much with it apart from make content pieces. But I did have a dear friend who had recently passed, and I helped him with a lot of chronic conditions, from being able to walk, not being able to walk 2 miles to being able to walk 8 miles, needing 5 adult diapers because he had prostate cancer. And so so he had 3 abdominal surgeries and was scheduled for a 4th one for a mechanical sphincter. And they showed him how to use the skeletal system to reorganize and recalibrate the muscles and the organs in the pelvic girdle, and he was able to cancel his surgery. And he would have chronic migraines, and I was able to show him how to expand the bones and expand the space in his head so that he can get rid of his migraines. So it was just a lot of these kinds of situations and conditions that people would come to me, and we'd troubleshoot them, and they've been having them for years, months, whatever, and within a few days those symptoms had gone. But it was a very strategic discovery and observe and put in specific strategies that
Mm-hmm.
that I had this knack to do. And then when my friend passed, he asked me to bring it out to mainstream because he and I kind of I obviously agreed with him because that's what I'm doing now.
Right.
Um, but there's something more powerful when you can give somebody physical hope and
Right.
independence and mobility when they've been suffering for so long, than sell gorgeous yoga mats. So there's just
Right.
something more profound and that I want to do. So that's how, addressing it starts with addressing chronic pain,
Mm-hmm.
but the same tools similar to rehab, the same kind of strength and conditioning tools can accelerate performance too. But the difference with my system is, I don't know, you've probably been to physical therapy. How
Yes.
do you
Yeah.
like doing the homework exercises?
Oh, I didn't. I didn't at all. I
I
didn't at all.
know.
No.
Yeah. It's like,
Yeah. So we have like I said, we have questions. He's
oh,
I call him a BOS brother of the show.
mhm.
His name is Arquill, and he has a question. He says, "Do you believe most pain comes from inflammation in the body?"
Inflammation can cause pain. It's like one of those chicken and egg thing. Did you have trauma first and then inflammation occurred? Or was there inflammation going on in the body that systems weren't working properly? And so, but inflammation can prevent the body from healing.
Mm.
And inflammation around joints, etc., can also make the joints misaligned. And so it takes longer for the inflammation to move through those joints, and so can impede the speed in which you can heal. So if you want to think about and you probably know, like, if you can align the skeletal system, then you can align any other system that follows the skeletal system, whether it's the the lymphatic system, which helps with moving lymph and toxins and etc., which are inflammatory fluids, etc. Or the blood flow. The blood flow does the same thing, can do part of the same thing. So they're all different but connected. So if they can follow and move smoothly along an aligned skeletal system, then the inflammation has more chance to move through the body.
Wow.
And
Wow. Okay. And he has a follow-up question. He says, "So are you saying, because he's been listening, so are you saying that one can increase and or decrease bone structure with breathing exercises?"
Again, it's a chicken and egg thing. So I just recently got told that I have amazing bone density, and I'm like 58, and I have the density of I have the bone density of a 30, 40-year-old. The doctor was like shocked at my bone density, and I was like, oh, thank God for that, because I do teach bone biomechanics. So it'd be really be awful if I had bad bone density. So what I say is, for breathing. So if you know that you can use the breath and have used the breath as a strategic mechanism to help you control the central nervous system, or to help you with physical activities, and you have somewhat of if you have a beginner's breathwork practice to an advanced There are like Wim Hof and other people who have are all breathwork practitioners. I'm saying that if you know how to organize your skeletal system more effectively, then you can optimize your lungs. So if you put the ribs and the spine in an optimal position, or then you create a much more organized and effective environment for the lungs, the heart, and there are so many organs in your apart from your brain, but all your organs are in here in this torso area, and so optimizing the framework for them to be supported and thrive in will then improve. I forgot the question. Bone density?
Yes.
Was that the question? Yeah, could
increase or decrease bone structure.
Could improve bone structure, could improve bone density, and because of the way that when you observe something, and when with my system that you're often communicating and conversing with the specific bones or joints, then you're sending signals there, you're sending blood there, so there isn't anything bad that can come out of it unless you're sending horrible signals to it. But most people don't send most people don't send horrible. A lot of people have negative talk about themselves, but when in the realm of like wanting a body part to work better, you don't typically tell your liver to shut down. You sort of, or you don't, please liver, don't shut down. You sort of like say, like you'll send positive messages to the liver or the knee joint. You don't, yes, there's some people who might beat themselves a bit, but yes. So to give you an example of the breath and the bones working together, I had a guinea, a test runner for my workshop, and this was like I didn't know what I had as a system, but she struggled running 4 miles. And I didn't even know how far she wanted to run. I just told her how to recalibrate her rib cage, how to use her heart more effectively to recalibrate her rib cage. And the next day I asked her how she went, and she was like, I'm not sure. I'm like, what do you mean you're not sure? She said, well, I took 2 recalibration pauses. I'm like, well, what do you normally do? She's like, well, I thought I wasn't going to stop at all. I'm like, but what do you normally do? And she says, well, normally I'd stop 20 to 24 times when I run. And I'm like, so we had one phone call. I showed you how to recalibrate your heart and your rib cage. And the next day, you instead of stopping 20 to 24 times on your 4-mile run, you just do 2 recalibration pauses, and you're not sure if this is working.
Wow.
Like, wow. So it does. The breath gives you that opportunity to think. And then you can make strategic choices. And if the strategic choice is an effective bone level choice, then it can enhance the breath work and the muscle work at the same time. And then the biochemistry, because then you've got more oxygen and and effective organs while you're impacting organs and hopefully helping them function and thrive better, or giving them an opportunity to function and thrive better, rather than when you sit rounded and collapsed and crushing every organ in
You're talking
you.
about me now. You're talking about me now.
Am I? I try not to, unless you
But
want.
it's good.
Um,
It's if you can't take constructive criticism, then I don't know what to tell you. But it's good when people tell you about yourselves. So I
yeah.
appreciate that. I appreciate that. So let me ask you something. Just not gone in too far because I want people to go to your website, which is I have it right here, which is ufab.world/masterclass, and that's ufhab.world/masterclass. I want you guys to go there and check it out. Give me some instance for someone that says like has chronic knee pains. How would you tell them to recalibrate for that knee pain, that chronic knee pain?
So my course, which that link is an introduction to like the coaching program, because it's a lot of it is repatterning of movement, etc. So we would do a diagnostic, investigate how it occurred, what solutions that they had taken to help with the knee, and whether it is pre-surgery or post-surgery or to avoid surgery. And I think most people want to avoid surgery, but then if surgery has occurred, most people want to recover quickly and get back to their activity. So with regards to the knee, I've had many cases of people who have bad knees, and once they learn how to observe the skeletal structure and the knee joint, and learn how to use the system to put the knee joint into the right place and take weight off the knee whenever you're doing certain activities. Like if you're going downstairs, there's that moment where you pause because you're afraid of the weight that you're putting,
Right.
or but and the majority of the time we're sitting, and so we're not using all the muscles around the knee joint. The back of the knee is often I say contracted. Like if you think about it, the front of the kneecap, the muscles are longer. The back of the kneecap, the muscles are contracted, and so we walk around with bent knees, so that we don't strengthen the back of the knee, the legs at the back, the muscles at the back of the leg, at the back of the thigh, and the back of the calf. Or although like my focus isn't so much on the muscular strengthening, my focus is on strengthening the skeletal muscles around the knee, and then doing the exercise, having you observe what's going on there, how it's impacted by the foot and the ankle and the hip joint, and you being able to notice what the hell you're doing at any given moment. And
Right.
so if you start to
Wow.
feel pain in your knee or whatever joint, you can really, instead of like doing an active rest strategy or just sitting down and modifying but not being told what to do, I have like several tools, biomechanical tools, that you use to observe and then to reorganize the muscles, and you feel, and because of the way that I've designed the muscle reaction, you typically feel pain-free or significantly reduced pain, and strength at the same time, which is not what you typically feel in a physical therapy session. You typically feel like you're doing lame ass exercises
Right.
that feel like it's going to take forever for me to feel a little bit stronger. But because I work at the structural level, you feel pain disappear really quickly, and you feel really strong too. And so because they're the two occurring at the same time, it brings a level of it accelerates the level of hope that this can actually the knee pain can I'm actually doing good shit for my knee rather than some lame ass exercise. And so the motivation is enhanced too. So that's how I don't know if that helps, but that's sort of like how I help people feel that they have great, strong, powerful knees very quickly.
Wow. So when you, because I hear you talk about physical therapy a lot, how it doesn't really help. Is physical therapy more of a, I would say like a training, like not really curing anything? And I don't want to, knock any physical therapists out there that are listening. I don't want to get them upset. That's fine. It's my show. I can talk. I can say what I want to say.
Yeah, I mean,
do you feel like physical therapy really helps, or do you feel like the therapist is missing something?
I feel like the therapist is missing something, but it does help. Like I did physical therapy for my triple ligament knee surgery, and it does certainly help because I don't know all the exercises in the world, but what it is missing is because if you think about if you've ever worked with a trainer or a physical therapist, they ask you to strengthen a weak muscle, and they talk about the instructions are given from a muscular perspective, and you're not given any skeletal, any instructions on how to put the bone in the right place, or even why to put the bone in the right place. Well, they might hint at it, but they don't show you how. And the money is in the how. Like if you show people how to do something well, that's where transformation occurs. And so no, I don't. I think physical therapists are great because they've learned a specific way to help the body. I just feel that they are missing this bone informed information, because often what would happen for me is in physical therapy, they would give me an exercise to strengthen my knee, but it had a lot of weight loading on my knee, and I had to figure out what, I would do a squat, and I had to figure out what to do with my foot, what to do with my ankle, and what to do with my hip, so that my knee didn't hurt like a mofo. But the exercises which they gave me, I would not have thought about to do. So it's very complementary. How I typically work with people is we'll go through the exercises that they've been given, and then we'll see if we add some bone informed intelligence and techniques, how that changes the exercise. And a lot of times they can go deeper, like they can do a deeper squat. They have a lot more power. They can have more torque. Whatever is their physical goal. Once you stabilize the joints, just everything works better.
Wow. So I know people that have the chronic migraines, and you talked about your friend that had the migraines, and you taught him how to expand his mind or his brain or his head. How does that work?
How to expand his mind and brain? Yeah. So he was a diver. So so I had like two situations where with the migraines. So so he's a diver, so he would get he would be bedridden for 3 days when the weather changed and when the barometric whatever the word is, when the pressure changed. So I said, do you think if we try and equalize the pressure in, because he's a diver, if we try and equalize the pressure in your head and use your skull, we could, when the weather actually goes, into I can't remember, a low pressure, or I think it's a low pressure, whichever the one is that made his joints hurt and put him in bed. We'll see whether it worked. So what we did, we used the same tools that I used to study like the bigger joints, and we just used it around the eyes and around the jaw and everything, and had him expand, like internally expand the head, so that he could create space, equalize the pressure, because he's an angry old man who's always frustrated, so everything is just like angry and sad, and so with that ability to expand the frame, the head frame, the skull, because the skull can expand, it's got little gaps, it's not solid, and then you can expand the jawline and other bones in the face. So he was able to do that, and I had to sort of like do the exercise with him, sort of like the night of the storm, like before that night, go over the exercises so that when he went to bed, he would do the exercises. And, for him to wake up the next morning and be happy as Larry, and just live a normal life rather than be in bed for the next 3 days until, the storm passed. That's like to give somebody 3 days back of their life. Every time there's a storm comes, it's huge. But the other time that I used this was for somebody who was a volunteer firefighter. And because they have the gear, they've got the head gear, they've got the carrying the gear, and she probably, look, I can see myself that I'm a little lopsided. I've got a little certain, but so she might be running with like the gear all lopsided, and she would have constant migraines, and she would, as much as she wanted to volunteer, she couldn't sometimes because the migraines, and so I did the similar exercises for her. So that, but also to sort of like strengthen the neck muscles, not like such a big bulk because she's a female, but strengthen more the cervical skeletal muscles so that they can really hold her head, and so she can, the passages are more open, and she's not crushing them, with a heavy helmet and gear on her shoulder and on her back, etc. And so that really helped with her migraines too. And that was that's really cool. Is really it originally helped her with her migraines, but then to help her run up for the training to go running up the fire thing, all the exercises where you're carrying all that heavy gear just made the volunteer work much more fulfilling, not something that she dreaded. So which I think volunteer and emergency services, they're being mission ready is so important, and they don't have a lot of training. I mean, they have a lot of training, but they don't learn it. Well, they definitely don't learn it at a bone level. and
Right.
they don't learn strategies how to run up stairs with that weight. I mean, they do and they don't. They obviously do and they
Mm.
don't. But they're, it could be enhanced if they were able to run up the stairs with from a bone perspective.
Wow. Wow. So this is Ray on Sports. It's Johnny Ray. I have Miss Doreen Hing on here, the Bone Hacker Extraordinaire. That's so that name, Bone Hacker Extraordinaire, where did that come from? And also, besides that, I also have a question. Um, oh, well, I'm sorry, we have a question now from Miss Karen Thomas Ray. She says, so is a lot of migraines due to the possibly lack of oxygen to the brain?
It could I mean, it could be potentially like like I would love to work with a migraine specialist, so I don't know for sure, but definitely, optimizing the airway passages. You know, we sit with our chins either like this or like that, so that affects the air passages,
Hmm.
and and we're crushing our cervical vertebrae, so that affects the air passages. And then, for migraines, sometimes they talk about using Botox to
Hmm.
relax the muscles. So if you have if you want to use a no med, no Botox system before using Botox or migraines, you know, taking taking a powerful breath, like a strategic breath, the way I teach it, where it follows the skeletal system, and you can use it to expand the bones and the joints. It a it you recalibrate the architecture, you optimize again a bunch of systems so that you improve the blood flow to the brain, which when the blood flow improves to the brain, then the oxygen improves to the brain. So it's, again, it's like a chicken and egg. It's always a chicken and egg thing. The biofeedback loop is sometimes, is the symptom because of the skeletal system and other systems not working properly, or the reverse. And so I teach you how to read the biofeedback both ways. Is it the
Hmm.
pain, the pain giving the signal, and what do I need to do? Or is it, I want to optimize something, and so what do I need to do? And so so it's like when you learn something really well, you can do
Right.
it, you can use it for multiple things, and
Right.
that's, it's not just got one application. So
Wow. So, so would you say that the migraines have something to do with your posture as well? Because I noticed you said about holding your head down or holding it up too far. Does do you think that has something to do with it as well? The posture of where you sit or how you sit, does that contribute to your migraines?
it can do, because like if you think of your head and the bone and the brain, it's a really heavy structure. And if and if I go side, and if it's not on top of your um, skeletal system, your cervical vertebrae centrally, the moment that my chin goes down, that's a boulder. It's like a heavy boulder. I can't remember how much
Mm.
um, weight that they say it is. Like, but if you imagine a, a bowling ball, it
Mhm.
causes strain on the back of your neck and the musculature, etc. So, and then it's like, and then that's closing. You can even hear my voice has changed. It's closing off.
Mhm.
It's closing off the voice box, but also the air passages. And same like here, you can hear my voice change if you're
Wow.
somebody who's sort of like chin forward and sort of walk like that, and you walk like that. It's still, you know,
Right. Right.
you're cutting off the voice box and the air passages, but from a different angle. So learning how to centralize. It's always going to have some curvature, but learning how to centralize and optimize the cervical vertebrae so it's neatly in that neck cavity, but you can feel it being supportive.
Wow.
Can contribute to migraines, can contribute to brain fog. Just if you just think about when things are aligned, just things work better. So yes, it could contribute to the migraines, and in these cases, which I worked with people, it did help them a lot, and they were able. And then you like my system, you're able to catch yourself a lot quicker to correct yourself. Like you probably know a lot of good. You've been given a lot of good information before in the past, which is good for you, but whether you actually apply it and do it is like, yeah, okay.
Right.
But I like to create my tools. I like to create my tools in a way that when you catch yourself, because when you catch yourself and you do it because it just feels good, rather than it feels like a chore.
Wow. I don't know if you see the question there. Our quill says, "Can you speak on the lower lumbar pain, which transitions down to the legs, or to the feet?"
That sounds like sciatica, probably like sciatica. And so often when when there's lower lumbar pain, whether the pain is like it ends at the feet, but it's being caused by the compression in your lower back. So knowing how to separate the vertebrae. So often you're often told to do exercises to strengthen the lower back. But if you think about the exercises that you do, you don't know how to separate strategically the vertebrae. You currently, not the way that most exercises. You just do these back crunching or back strengthening exercises, but you're not really made to pay attention to what the spine is doing, which side of the spine is longer, which side of the spine is shorter, which part of the spine could potentially cause the impingement. You kind of are told that this disc is compressed or has a hernia or something, and it's impinging on the nerve, which is sending a shooting pain down the leg. But you're not really, and if you do these exercises, you're not really told how to. You hope that the exercises will maintain the separation between the vertebrae, but you don't know how to do it strategically. Whereas I teach you to know how to move, like, your vertebrae. You're almost like you also must become like your own chiropractor, that you can move each vertebrae specifically to where you want it. You can create the amount of expansion you want between the vertebrae, etc. And you're aware. But the most important part is sustaining it. Like when you go to a chiropractor, you get that vertebrae expansion and traction. But the moment that you leave, you hope that you're going to stay. Like, and they give you some exercises, but by the end of the week, you're back to like slumping. So being able to maintain that traction, that separation, I call it skeletal expansion. Being able to maintain that skeletal expansion is where you have that opportunity to reduce the amount of impingement of a nerve that may be causing that sciatica, shooting pain down the leg.
Wow.
Yes. So
That's awesome. That is awesome. I'm soaking in all this information. I'm going to go back and re-listen to this again once we're done, because this is awesome. And for those who are listening, or you watching it live, or you're not watching it live, you can always go back to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or you can even tell your smart speaker to play Ray on Sport season 2, episode 1, and you'll get this information again. Miss Doreen, I appreciate you being on here. I know we had a set time limit, and I don't want to take you over your time limit because I know
Mhm.
you have other appointments and things to do. But I appreciate you coming on here, giving this awesome information to people. Once again, I'll give you the website. The website is, let me find, oh, here it is, www.ufab.world.com. I had someone, I think Mr. Arquil went on there and checked it out. So people, please go to the site, check it out.
And then you
Like
can
I said,
also find, sorry,
yeah, go ahead.
you can also find me on LinkedIn just by my
Okay,
name on LinkedIn. Um,
okay.
that I'm starting to share a bit more on there, and I'm always available for a chat. And then obviously, if you want a discovery, what I call a pain transformer call,
Hmm.
we can, we can definitely do that too. My goal is um, that that we all are able to have the freedom and mobility to do whatever we want,
Right.
with the least amount of meds possible, and to use
Wow.
your bones as a first resource to help, um, you know, uh, take away pain, and then help you be the person that you physically want to be. And so, yeah, so that's my mission anyway.
Okay.
Just a small one.
That's a great mission because we hear about people and that could take another 30 minutes to talk about that, but we hear about people who say they don't like taking medication because medication is really not solving it. It's just kind of compressing the pain or delaying the pain. So the more
Yeah,
meds you take, the more it's delaying your pain. It's not really helping you. And like you said, doctors are just practicing because that's why they call doctors and they practice medicine. That's what it's called, practicing medicine, because they're practicing. But
yeah. And they
I
don't
think we.
learn. There's just so
Uh-huh.
much to learn, and so they
Right.
haven't. And this is new because I haven't seen anyone else. I kept wanting someone else to discover it and somebody else to give me the education so that I didn't have to, because I don't like selling, but
Mhm.
and I don't like marketing. So, but I do love helping people. So, um, and so I was hoping that somebody else would have discovered it. But the other part of my goal about bringing bone technology into the world of sports medicine and fitness and mobility is that I don't have all the answers. So I would love to work with coaches from different areas, you know, whether you're a migraine specialist or a running specialist or or a basketball coach or a lower back specialist, to have them have this information as part of their toolbox, so that it can so that the recovery can be even faster than what I can do. That's my
Right.
goal, is to, because they'll have some other tools which I won't have, but they
Mhm.
certainly don't have this structural engineering perspective, which is what I'd like, other people to have as part of their arsenal. And um,
Wow.
I don't
Wow.
want to be greedy. I want to share this bone wealth with everyone.
Right. You're right. That's awesome. It's awesome when you have people, and I try to have people on here that are looking to give back. Either they've been through something, and the experience that they've been through, they want to use it to help others. And I noticed that I can tell by the way you talk passionately about this, that this is something that you love to do and you love to help people with, and you're not just doing it for selfish gains. I put it like that. You're doing it to
Thank you.
expand and help, and maybe there's somebody out there that listens to this podcast, or goes to your site, or goes to LinkedIn. On LinkedIn, she's Doreen Hing. That's DoreenHing. Go there, look her up. She said, also said, send her a message. You guys can talk one. Is it okay? They can send you a message and they can talk one on
Yeah,
one
yeah,
with you.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
for
Okay.
sure.
So guys, go on there and talk and share this podcast with somebody. You never know who you can help. And I thank God for giving me this platform to come out and talk. And it started off as one thing and it's expanded to something even greater than I can even imagine. And for having outstanding guests like this, like Miss Doreen Hing, come on here and give us this information about bone structure and dealing with pain is awesome. And I thank God for
Oh,
your commitment to it. You know that you're willing to help someone and help someone live longer. Like I think one of the things you said was, you know, I gave him back 3 days of his life. To someone who's going through stuff like that, that's awesome. That's miraculous. That you can
yeah.
take something that somebody's been dealing with for so long, pain, and you can give it, and you can take that pain away from them and give them something better back for it. So if nobody's ever told you, thank God for you, for your technology and for what you're giving back to people. So anytime you want to come back on here, please email me. Let me know if you have any more new breakthroughs or developments that you want to talk about. I'm open to it. Just give me,
Oh,
you have my email, I have yours. You know, just hit me up and let me know. And I'll definitely have you back on here. And thank for everyone who listened, who chimed in. Thank you for
yes,
my
thank
brother of the
you.
show and of the show for chiming in. Once again, this is Johnny Ray for Ray on Sports. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching. Also, like I said, catch me on Spotify, catch me on Apple Podcasts, catch, and I even tell your smart speaker to play Ray on Sports episode. I'm sorry, season 2, episode 1, and you'll get this episode. So until next time, this is Johnny Ray from Ray on Sports. Take care and God bless.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.